Welcome to Allies or Enemies. I'm Jess.
And I am Sean. And today we are counting down our top 10 most played games of 2024. So whenever we're doing top 10 lists, they tend to kind of lean towards the higher, heavier end of the spectrum. So we tend to talk about those big, beefy boys. And I think those are the big kind of main course games. Those are the big games that are taking up your evening. Those are the ones we think about a lot. But we kind of forget about a lot of the little ones that we actually play a lot more.
Yeah, and it makes sense that we play those more because they're faster to play, so you can just play more of them faster, but also they're quicker to teach too. A lot of these you can teach in like 5 minutes or quicker and easy to teach to new players. So let's look at our top 10. Number 10 is Captain Flip, and this is the newest one in our collection. Sean just got it for me for Christmas, and we have already played it a ton. It plays in like 10 minutes for 2 players. What you're doing is you are taking tiles. So you put your hand in a bag, grab a tile, choose to put that tile down as it is onto your boat, or flip it. But if you flip it, you have to keep the flipped result. And it just plays so fast, and there are 4 different boards. So as soon as you're done one game, it's so tempting to just play again on a different board.
Yeah, we've already played this like a dozen times, and a big part of that is because we got it on Christmas and we got a lot of calls back home. So this is perfect for like if you're going to be interrupted or if you just need to squeeze something into 10 minutes, because also the setup is just get it out of the box. You've got the bag or the tiles in the bag already. You've got the boards. That's it. There's like nothing else to do with this. We learned it super fast. It's got these really great player aids too. It's really fun. We only picked this up, I think, because of the nomination, the Spiel des Jahres nomination. We usually don't do that, but this one looked really cute, and it is really great game. We played it so much.
Yeah, if we had played this before we made our best of the year, it probably would have made it. And that's our number 10.
Our number 9 is Solstice, and this is a game that we learned about on BGA first, played a few times there, but then I picked it up in Essen, and it may only be available right now, the French copies. I'm not positive about that. We got an English rule book because they had some at Essen that they gave me separate. But if you can find this in English, it's really great, and it's a 2-player specific tile placement game where you got this big picture of tiles. So all the tiles together make this really nice landscape picture, but you're each kind of competing to make your chunk of that picture. So you're each going to end up with like half of that landscape. And you're doing that with this really interesting drafting mechanism. And obviously it's all going to be kind of hate drafting because I can see exactly how Jess is trying to build hers and she can see how I'm trying to build mine. And we're trying to build it while stopping the other person from building theirs.
Yeah, and I wouldn't necessarily call it quite hate drafting because you definitely want tiles for what you're building, but it is interesting because you do sometimes have to add your own tiles to the draft options, and so what tile you're going to add, you definitely want to keep an eye on what your opponent's doing to make sure you're not adding something that they're going to be thrilled to see. And so it's an interesting 2-player game of building your own puzzle, but being incredibly restricted because you know what tiles aren't available.
Right, and being restricted because someone else is building the same puzzle, taking half of those tiles. And there's these cute little wooden tiles. Not all the tiles are wood, but these little animal ones that are wood that you're putting on top as well. Those all have different powers. So it plays different games too. But that is our number 9. Number 8 is Isla and Something Shiny, and this was one of the only campaign games that we played this year, and this one came to us as a bit of a surprise because this was actually a present from a buddy who, when we were leaving Edinburgh, was like, I think you guys are really going to like this. He had just finished it, and so pass it on to us, and he's right, we did really like this game, and it's meant as a solo game, but you can play it cooperatively because I guess you can play anything cooperatively if you just work together. And in this, you are a bunny named Isla and you got to go find something shiny. And you can see it on top of this mountain, and so it's got a bunch of different missions. It's kind of a choose your own adventure, rolling dice and stuff. And it's super adorable, but also surprisingly dark.
Yeah, and you're gathering items as you go, and the items that you gather will influence what you can do like throughout the story as well. So I am really interested because depending on your choices and what you do, what you collect, you're gonna have different endings. And I don't want to give any spoilers, but I do want to trying to get a different ending.
Yeah, for sure. And because those items come up a lot. And if you've got certain things, it feels like you can do really different things than if we had chosen some other things earlier in the game, and they impact you all the way through the game. And there's a lot of cards we didn't see in each different mission. And even on the easy mode, it felt pretty challenging. So because we lost a bunch of times in this too, which is part of the reason it made this list. So I definitely want to play this again. And that is number 8.
7.
Our number 7 is Sea Salt and Paper, and we keep playing this. We've played it for years now, and we still play it all of the time. It is a game that's just a smidge harder to teach to new players, so I think this is one we primarily play at 2 players. But we take it with us, we can play it like when we're on the go. We constantly find it interesting and competitive, especially since we added the extra salt expansion, because there's just so many different routes you can go, and always deciding whether to do last chance or stop is always an interesting decision.
Yeah, this one works so well at 2 players, and I've heard people say that they primarily like it at more players, and I don't know about that. I think this is a perfect 2-player game. It works fine at 3, 4. We've played it like that a lot, but I love it at 2. And yeah, it's interesting that the extra salt is like 8 cards. And how much variety those 8 cards added into the game. So if you've got this and you don't have extra salt, I think definitely pick it up if you can find it, because you'll be shocked at how much those 8 cards change this game. And it has just kept it in constant, steady rotation for us, and that is why it is our number 7.
6.
Number 6 is Beacon Patrol, which is a cooperative tile placement game where you're like the Coast Guard and you're trying to map out an area. So on your turn, you have to play 3 tiles down and move your boat. And then you're trying to surround the tiles as much as possible, because only things that are surrounded score. But it's a lot more challenging than you expect, because you frequently find yourself in these like little like water inlets and you get yourself stuck and then have to discard tiles, which you definitely don't want to do. And we've yet to get to be able to reach like the hardest score.
Right, like the perfect, we were so close once. But it's interesting because the cooperation comes from, on your turn you can take one of the tiles, you can trade a tile with the other player. So sometimes you're kind of keeping tiles you think that they want, and sometimes you're taking tiles with us. You're taking tiles even if they don't necessarily want you to. We have that happen a lot. But also you've got to coordinate, because really you've got to have like one ship going on one side, one ship going on the other side, because sometimes you can get stuck on the far side of islands too, to see everything. And it's nice because it's just like this gentle theme. Just look at the islands. There's nothing mean, there's nothing bad that's going to happen to you, except you'll get a little stuck sometimes. But it's still like really a challenge.
Yeah, and one day we are going to get that highest score, and it is our number 6.
5.
Number 5 is Art Project, and this is back-to-back co-op games. But Art Project, you want to play with a lot of people. Beacon Patrol, I think, works really well at 2. I think it would work well at 3 or 4. We've never tried it. But Art Project really shines when you've got 5 or 6 players, when you've got a whole bunch of people playing this game. And what is happening is a little bit weird. There's a whole bunch of art thieves, and you're this special like secret spy organization of kind of a ragtag group who's trying to stop those art thieves by moving around these different maps. There's 6 different maps, I think, in it. They all have their own different interesting rules, and you've got these like crates you're collecting up and you're putting out, and it gets harder as you go through the game.
Yeah, it's a great theme. It reminds me of the movie that I don't think actually did very well.
Monuments Men?
Yeah, Monuments Men.
I think it did okay.
Maybe it did. But it is a really interesting puzzle, because you always have to play one card. Usually you have to spend resources for what you're doing. So all together, you really have to coordinate to make sure if you are spending resources that's somebody else who needs to play a card that takes resources, you have enough of those. So there's a lot of coordination and a lot of discussion that's needed.
And I think people really like that discussion because, especially if you're playing with a lot, this is a very difficult game to quarterback because there's just too much going on. And if you make it a little bit harder for yourselves, can be quite a challenge. So there are different levels that you can kind of reach up to as well. And that is our number 5. Number 4 is Bus and Stop. And this is another one I picked up in Essen, and I have been like a traveling salesman for this game. I've taught it to so many people, played it in so many different places. So I just love it. It's so easy as well just to get people on board with this game because you're on a bus. And it's just such a simple, awesome game.
Yeah, what you're trying to do is collect different sets of the bus passengers. So you have a bus, you can only fit 10 passengers, and on your turn, you have to take all of the passengers that are the same color. So if there's 3 blues, you have to take all 3 of them and add them to your bus. But what you're scoring is all of one type of passenger. So you want to collect the same type of passenger, and you get rewarded if you're able to trade in a whole bunch of them. But it's challenging because if you can only fit 10 people on your bus and you're trying to score 6 or 7, it's difficult to get that many without your bus getting full. And then the best bit, though, is when somebody else drops off passengers, you can say skedaddle.
And everyone loves this. Everyone gets so into saying skedaddle. It's such a fun thing to say, and it's a fun mechanic because it gives you a way to get rid of people that you don't really want.
Yeah, exactly. And because of that, I think it does play better at 3 or 4 players because that gives you more opportunity to skedaddle. But it does play well at 2, and it is our number 4. Our number 3 is Far Away, which is a clever card game. It looks really lovely, and the interesting thing is it scores in reverse. So it took us a couple of games to like wrap our head around it properly because you're only able to, at the end of the game, you flip all of your cards that you've played, and then one by one, starting with the last one, you flip it and score it. And so every single time we have taught this to somebody, they've always asked to play it again because the first game is always a learning game.
Yeah, they're always like, okay, great, that's easy. Of course I can do that. And then they do it and go, oh, I see now. Because as you play cards, you want resources. They're going to fulfill whatever that card wants. But you've got to play those resources on later cards because then they're going to fulfill the cards that you're going to score later, but you've played earlier. But what people instinctively do is go, you know what, I've got a lot of those already. So I'm going to put down a thing that scores for a lot of those. And then oh, right, I haven't flipped any of those. I don't have any of those right now. And that is really interesting to get. Everyone gets their head around it halfway through the first game. Or once they've scored the first time, people are like, got it. Now I got it. But yeah, so that second game is always a lot more interesting, I think, for folks. But once you've done it, it is an interesting puzzle. And just that tiny little shift in like how you play those resources makes such a huge difference.
Yeah, and there's so many different ways things score that it's always interesting to try like new possibilities. And the bonus cards that you can get for like putting your cards out in ascending order can make a huge difference. And so every time we play this, we really enjoy it. And it's a really interesting one to teach to new players. It is our number 3. Our number 2 is Dorfromantik Sakura, and Dorfromantik is my favorite game. I absolutely love it, and Sakura adds some new things. First of all, it takes place in Japan, and it looks amazing. It has these great cherry blossoms, wonderful animals, the cobbled streets. I love the look of it, but it also introduces some new mechanics, and I don't want to spoil anything, but it introduces a lot more that changes the game than the first one did. So I think if you haven't played either, probably start with the first one, but that the second one still is everything I love about the original, but with like slightly more complexity and really interesting.
Yeah, we've already played this. We're almost done all the way through, like opening up everything from every box. And this one has quite a bit more complexity, quite a bit more to think about. I definitely thought, oh, it's just going to be kind of a reskin of the original game. It totally isn't. There's a bunch more stuff going on, and there's a lot of stuff to keep in your head, and you're just not, I think I found for a few of our games, like late in the game, there's so much that we're like, all right, we're just not going to worry about that little bit. But it's cool because you can worry about different things, and because it's really just, you know, working together, building a town, getting a high score. So it's fine. You just play however kind of you're comfortable with. But yeah, I really like this one. I maybe like this one a little bit more than even the original one, but I think they both have their places because the original one is just so chill and so smooth. And this one gives that next step and a bit more challenge.
Yeah, and it's just fun opening new boxes too, that you're always motivated to play another game, to open more stuff. And if you count our original Dwarf Romantic plays as well, we have played this so much this year. It is our number 2.
Our number 1, and we're actually gonna split our number 1. We kind of have 2 number 1s. So let's call this number 1B because it's kind of cheating, and that is Last Week of Summer, and that is because it's the game that I designed and that we're putting out this year, and we played this a lot because I'm playtesting it. So it's a little bit unfair because we've played this, I don't even know how many times, a load, most days. And Last Week of Summer, if you don't know about it, you probably don't yet. This is a game set in 1986 and you have just finished high school. You got one more summer to have as much fun as you can before you got to go be an adult. And it's this modular game, and each of those different locations is based on a different 80s place. So there's like a video store, there's a music store, there's an arcade, there's a skate park. They all have their different little mechanisms, and you're gonna play with usually 4 of those in a game, sometimes 5. So you can mix and match those and have different towns each time.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun playing this with a lot of different people. We've taken this to gaming groups. We also had a stall for the first time at Tabletop Scotland. We're going to be taking this to Aircon and UK Games Expo. So we're just going to keep playing it with a lot of different folks.
It honestly is the game that we've played the most, but there is a Kickstarter preview page. So if you want to follow that, please do. That would be phenomenal. And there'll be a link to that in the description and all. Oh, we're going to keep talking about this, but let's move on to the actual number 1 published game. And that is Courtisans. And oh boy, have we ever played Courtisans this year. We bring Courtisans everywhere. We played this a whole bunch in our game group up in Edinburgh with like the public gaming group. Anytime we're playing a game with people who don't play a lot of games, this is our go-to game now, because all you got to do, you play 3 cards, 1 in front of yourself, 1 in the middle, 1 in front of someone else. The ones in the middle decide if they're going to be positive points or negative points. And that's it. But it's great because it's just nonstop mean. Every card you give to someone else pretty much is mean. Almost every time you put it in the middle, you're being mean. Sometimes you're trying to be helpful to yourself. But that's pretty much all it is, and I think people delight in that.
Yeah, it helps that it's a quick card game, so you're not like building an engine that someone's destroying. The whole purpose is that it is a quick, mean card game, and it is wonderful when you have something that you know is going to be negative points for sure, and you're looking around and you're trying to decide who might be the one that's most deserving of these negative points. And they also have these spy cards, which are cards that you play upside down, and you're not allowed to look at those. So you can put those in the center, which adds uncertainty, or give them to people, and then Sean is always like, what did you give me, to try and like trick people?
Yes. Oh, what is that card?
To telling him. I never fall for it, or I haven't yet, but it's so delightfully mean, and it's great when the final scores are all like negative points.
Yeah, someone wins this game with like 1 or 2 points, and there's actually a lot of strategy in this. There's both the like actual strategy of the game of thinking about, okay, what cards does everyone have? What are my best odds for this? But people really don't take a lot of time on their turns mathing this out, which I think is part of why it's fun.
Yeah.
But there's also a lot of social strategy, because I've learned, don't mess with the person going right after you, because they're gonna do it back. But if you mess with the person that's going 2 or 3 past you, they're probably going to forget because other people are going to mess with them. So that I think is the biggest strategy tip with this game. But there's also just a lot of other little sneaky strategies you can do, especially with those spy cards and with those assassins. And it's fun because there's not a lot of pre-planning. You got 3 cards and you play all of them every turn. So there's not a lot of saving stuff and waiting and thinking. It's just kind of like a lot of reacting, very fast pace. And yeah, this is easily our number 1. And that is is it. That is our most played games of the year. Please let us know what yours were. We would love to know about especially other quick, fun card games. This one is a little weighted to newer games. That's partly just because we're reviewers, but there's a lot of older games that are still in very regular rotation for us too. Stuff like Scout just gets played all the time. Our Parade continues to get played.
Yes, thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, and hopefully we'll see you next time for another game.